Will the Niners make a deep playoff run next season? You've written some articles for 49ers on SI expressing some optimism, some confidence that the Niners are going to be a really good team next year. Lay it out for us.
All right, so the plan, it's very simple here, all right? What we all have to realize first is that last season was an insane year, and whatever happened there, we cannot let lead us into this season to like just a downward spiral, okay? It's a whole new year, whole new team. Let's start with that. Defensive coordinator, that's first. If they get that right, if they get Salah or Carroll, I think that immediately brings the defense way back up, not to what it was before, but it brings it way better than it was this season. So much better. I think you get Brandon Ayuk, you get Trent Williams, you get them getting into a training camp again. A lot of things are different. Brandon Ayuk will come in healthy, 100% off rip, ready to play. Trent Williams, who openly admitted that not going to training camp kind of screwed him over and didn't lead him to success this year, he will obviously be better with a full training camp.
Respectfully, I'm not so sure that Brandon Ayuk's going to be physically ready for training camp. He could be sort of in a Talanoa Hufanga situation. Hufanga tore his ACL midseason last year. But no, that's a great point. There should be no holdouts this offseason.
Yeah.
That should be priority number one. That's something the Niners can control. And Ayuk should come back at some point, but Ricky Pearsall will have a full offseason. Trent Williams will have a full offseason. Christian McCaffrey will have a full offseason for sure.
It just gives them the opportunity to get the reps that they need to feel confident, feel comfortable, and then they can start rolling again. Then you add in somebody like Ricky Pearsall, like you just said. I think, like I agree with PFF. I think he's going to break out next year. I think he's going to be awesome. And when he breaks out and he does well, you can minimize Deebo Samuel's role a little bit, which just bolsters the offense as a whole. It just makes it way, way, way better. Defensively, if they can sign some of these guys that we're talking about or draft really well, the defense can be really, really strong. Like Malik Mustafa, who they drafted last year, has looked amazing. Like I have a lot of faith in him. He's great. He's such a run stopper too. The way he comes downhill, he's trying to knock your teeth out.
I like him a lot. Maybe Jair Brown can bounce back. I mean, he had one good year, one not so good year.
Exactly. Yeah. So like he's proven he can do it. He just didn't do it last year. So we can see what happens with him. Demo is awesome. Like they really have all of the talent. Like I was saying,
Bernardo Green could take a big step this year.
Exactly. I don't see that one happening as much, but it could happen. You know, I'm never going to.
You're not a Bernardo Green guy?
Not too much. Not too much. I'll be honest. I'm not a fan of really any corners on that team other than Diamador Lenore. Like I don't. Pretty good. Yeah. Like that's why I really feel like that's a need. But I think given all of that, right, if they can win important divisional games and like against the Rams in particular, if they can beat them twice next year, they're pretty much guaranteed a playoff berth. And at that point, with a Kyle Shanahan playoff offense, I know it's Shanahan, but I think it can beat a lot of teams.
So you think the 49ers getting healthy and having a full offseason means that they're will be in a position to beat the Rams twice? Here's my thing with the Niners. They will have an easier schedule next year, but they're just coming off a season in which they were 1-5 against their own division. They're going to have to face all those teams again twice. Mm-hmm. And again, Arizona is going to make some big moves. Doesn't mean they'll work out, but they're going to spend money this offseason. The Rams are going to try to make one all-in move. They always do. And even the Seahawks, like they fired their offensive coordinator. They could make a couple moves to their offensive line. That's a team that's right on the cusp of being good. They're pretty mediocre. So, are you feeling confident that the Niners are going to win in their division next year?
100%. Even with all of that, I think that even if the Cardinals, they do spend all that big money, even if Seattle fixes up their O-line, even if the Rams get T. Higgins, I think if you look down the board, the Niners are still the more talented team. And I think you can make a really good argument, too, that Purdy is a better quarterback than most of those guys. I will not argue that he's better than Stafford because Stafford is incredible and he's been on a tear. But I definitely say he's better than Kyler and Geno. And I think whenever you have the best quarterback, it gives you way better chance to win a football game.
My thing with Brock is that I think he's kind of like Kyler in the sense that he's killer if he's throwing 25 passes or 27. But once he gets into a game where he has to throw 35, I'm not as confident and I'm like sort of waiting for the interception. And I think with Kyler too. And like, so that brings me to Christian McCaffrey. He just had a season that was a complete throwaway season. He's going to be 29. Do you look at him as a running back whose body's beginning to break down and he's going to be in and out of the starting lineup? Or do you see him as a guy who's got one more killer season left?
His body's broken down. I don't think he has any more killer seasons left in him. What I will say, though, is that he's definitely not like going to be the same, and he's going to be used like crazy. Shanahan, he's not good at resting people. He's just going to use him, and he's going to do it until he just gets destroyed, until the wheels are completely off, which is so sad,
This
and
is
I'm not
true.
excited to watch it. But
Yeah.
that's why they also need to target in this draft. They got to get a running back. They got to get somebody that can take snaps for Christian McCaffrey, because he needs it. He's clearly not the same guy he was. He's getting hurt. He had the double Achilles issues. Like, if you think he's going to come back 100% after double Achilles, that ain't happening. He's definitely not going to be 100%. Is he still going to be a starting running back? Yeah.
But that's another reason why I'm skeptical of the 2025 49ers being materially different than the 2024 49ers, because here comes Christian McCaffrey back and he has a whole offseason. It's like, all right, this year we're going to keep him healthy for 17 games by doing nothing differently.
It's the Kyle effect.
You know what I
That's
mean?
the problem.
We're
Yeah,
going to
no.
lighten his workload. No, we're not. No, we're not. You know what I mean? Like, no, they're
Yeah,
not. So
they won't.
if he's in and out next year, maybe they draft Ashton Genty or some really good freaking running back in round 2 or 3 or wherever they get him, and it's no problem. Maybe their last 7th round pick is the Brock Purdy of running backs, and they're cool. But otherwise, they got a big problem. I always feel like Kyle's offense goes as the running back goes. When he's got Mostert or like prime Debo or prime McCaffrey, hard to beat. But when he doesn't, it's beatable.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like even during this last season, like when Garendo was getting snaps, like I don't think Garendo's like a starting running back on every team. I don't even think he's not even like a second string running back for most teams. But he looked good. Like the Niners run offense. I'm gonna give Kyle credit. It's a good scheme. Like they can run the football pretty efficiently. And Garendo looked awesome when he was
You know
doing
what I
it.
like
So
about
like,
Garendo?
yeah,
The receiving potential.
see, exactly. Like he's a pass
Like he's
catcher and
not the
he's quick.
most instinctual running back, but he's got speed, which means he's super dangerous on those outside runs and any type of route, especially down the field. And they hit him down the field a few times.
And
That
it
has
looked
to be a
amazing.
bigger part of their offense next year. Him.
Big time.
Yeah.
And you know what they say? You know what they say? You can teach somebody how to be a better receiver. You can teach somebody how to catch the ball better. What you can't teach speed. And
You
he's
can't. I
got
would
it.
like to see them throw screens to Garendo because all it takes is like one good block. You get him in space. He doesn't have to weave through people. Just outrun the defense. Get him in space. I love the deep throws to him. I would like to see. That's one way they can make a deep playoff run next year is someone like him getting way better. And I feel like the Niners on offense, they have these players who have more to give. Jawan Jennings is a great example. And it takes
Super
Kyle
Bowl.
like a little bit of time to figure out a role or expand his mind and change things because he's so locked into what was working in the past.
Yeah, I feel like that they'll save that moment for like the playoffs, assuming that what I'm saying happens and they actually go to the playoffs next year. Because that's what it kind of felt like with Jawan in that Super Bowl run that we had a couple years ago.
It
It
was
was like
happening.
I didn't
Yeah.
really know about him, and then suddenly he was popping off, and it was like, oh my
Suddenly
god, everyone knows Jawan.
I'm letting him throw in the Super Bowl
Yeah, exactly. Which was
and his
like
touchdown.
awesome.
Yeah.
It was so awesome. Like that must
Yeah. When Ben
imagine that
Johnson
moment for
called his
him.
pass for his wide receiver, that shit got picked. Jawan Jennings didn't get picked.
If it was Jawan, would have been a touchdown. Just saying. Just saying.
Touchdown.
Would have been.
Yeah. Yeah. So look, I'm not so sure that the Niners are going to make a deep playoff run. And I think I keep going back to this, like this DC search. Let's take it full circle to where the show started. If they get Robert Saleh, I could see it. But if they get Brandon Staley, I'm expecting a complete train wreck. And maybe that's just my temperament. Maybe I'm prone to expect things like that. But I don't know that Brandon Staley's going to have the answers. And I think if they get off to a rough start, it could just be the wheels could really fall off.
Yeah,
Brandon
it could
Staley.
get bad. I mean, but the good news, I mean, yes, I'm trying to think of like some sort of rebuttal for that, but like there's really nothing because Staley he just stinks. He just stinks. Like I don't get it. I don't even get why they signed him last year. Like when they did, I was like so confused. I was like, why? He's not going to provide anything, and they want to keep him around. So I guess they're going to move him up possibly. And if they do, oh, it's done. It's done. The defense will never be the same.